This episode is brought to you by the shows of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com. Whether it's true crime or film reviews, even TV series deep dives, the You Run Podcast Network has you covered. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com today. Mark, it turns out I've got a new kink.
You've got enough kinks, mate. You don't need any more.
I've got a new one, and it's to have sex under hypnosis. I guess that makes me transsexual.
You've offended so many people with that joke.
It's possible.
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. The passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the You Run Podcast Horror Movie Review. My name is Scott.
My name is Mark. I like that.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're a circus act.
Yeah, well, we're recording back-to-back episodes, and I've had a huge drink now, so I'm feeling quite lively and sprightly now. So if you listened to me last week, I was a little bit down and drab, and this is the exact same night. I'm just now on an alcohol high. So, hey, welcome to the show. We are a horror movie review show run and controlled by our listeners. You pick the movies on our Instagram page. Go and follow us there. We are, what are we?
We are at yourunpodcast.co.uk.com/the web.
Yeah. Yeah, You Run Podcast on Instagram. Mark is at Reviews from the Crypt or at VHS from the Crypt.
Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.
I might have to keep Cartman. That's amazing.
I like
Cartman.
that. I do like Cartman.
Yeah, but just in case you missed that, what you need to do right now, and if you're watching on YouTube, one of the remasters episodes, you need to
Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.
You can get in touch with the show. Send us an email, yourunpodcast@gmail.com. You could also audio DM us, and that will get you played on the air, so you'll hear your voice on the episode. All you need to do with that is go to X or Instagram, go to send us a DM, where the microphone button is, push and hold it down and speak. When you let go, that sends us the audio recorded, and we'll play it on the air. If you've never listened before, we give you a synopsis of the movie. We then dive into what we liked and what we didn't like. It's incredibly spoiler heavy. We'll hit you with some facts. We also have an interactive feature on this game, which is called Caption This, which this week blew me away. This week's Caption This is like a seasoned 3-word review response level.
So we're a bit more upgraded than last week.
yeah. Caption This was a hit. The other one wasn't. We'll then give you roundups and scores, and we'll let you get on with your day. This movie proves you should always be cautious of suggestions, especially when the suggestion comes in the form of hypnosis by your sister-in-law. Well, that's what happened to Tom, played by Kevin Bacon. Being told to be more open to things in the hypnosis, Tom begins to get messages from beyond the grave, and gives him an overwhelming desire to do some heavy gardening.
Dig.
Today we find out what he discovered when he did dig. And we also find out there is a kid in this movie who clearly has escaped the Overlook Hotel. Today,
I was going to say, man, if we don't talk about Scatman Carruthers in this, then there's an issue.
Yeah, the kid has the shine, man. He has the shine.
We have full Scatman as well. The police officer, is a full-on Scatman ripoff.
Yeah, he is. Today it is Stir of Echoes. Where do you want to start with this movie? This is your first watch. Let's start there.
Well, I mean, let's just address the elephant in the room, because you know me, I am a skeptic, to say the least. So going into this, I was like, to be honest, I actually had no idea what this movie was about. I didn't know where it was going to take me. I know people, especially more the cult side of horror, idolize Stare of Echoes. I'm like, this movie is great, but I don't feel like it's garnered enough reception, especially within the horror community. I feel like it's kind of one of those movies that drifted to the sidelines. Not many people have seen it, and those people who have seen it think it's the best movie ever. So I was like, is this going to be another one of those things that it's not great and it's only appealing to a certain amount of people? And within the first sort of 10 minutes, it was like, hypnosis, we're going to put you under, and then there's going to be ghosts. And the eye rolls from me, you probably felt them from your house at the other side of the country, to be honest with you. I was like, here we fucking go. So let's talk about hypnosis for a little section. Like, where are you and what is your We'll get to the movie. We have time. Don't worry. We'll get to the movie. Where are you on this hypnosis side of things? Because I feel like I need to understand your belief system behind it before we can sort of fully flesh out what this movie is about and how believable it is in terms of where you stand. Because I'm very dead against the idea.
Yeah, so I've been to a couple of hypnotist shows, which I brought up on a previous episode, and you shot me down in flames.
Yes.
And I got dragged on stage for one of those, and they tried to hypnotize me, and then they sent me back to my seat and basically went, "Go away. We can't work with you." Is that how you feel every week? He was like, "We can't work with you." And I watched other people go under and then dance around like a chicken or do the Macarena or whatever. And I don't believe for a single second he has any power over them. But I do believe you can be put into a suggestible state. I think there are people who are very suggestible. Like in my job, there's an element of what I do, which is twisting things to the way I want them to work. So I work within project management. So there's a lot of managing people, and a lot of that is manipulating how they look at a scenario. So they look at something and go, oh, fuck, that's the hardest thing in the world. And it's my job then to break that down and make that a really easy task. It's not an easy task, it's fucking hard, but I convince them that it's easy, so much so that when they're done, they go, that wasn't too bad, we'll do another one of them. Like that's how suggestion works. And that's on a base level what I think hypnosis is. It's just people who are, especially at a show, they're a little bit drunk, they're easily suggestible, and there's an element of when you're that suggestible, you play along with it. Dance like a chicken. Fuck it, I'll dance like a chicken. There's that element to it as well. I don't for a single second think hypnotism is real, which is why when I put my hand up, I went up there with the full intent of not being hypnotized, and I wasn't
disproving it.
Yeah, and I wasn't hypnotized. And the guy even said when he sent me back to my seat, "You're not suggestible enough for me to work with you."
And that leads me in perfectly into why I think this movie is as amazing as it actually is because it highlights those facts and it makes it aware of that. I think they even refer to it as being only 8% of people are susceptible to true enlightenment, I think are the words that they use in this movie. And the way that they showcase hypnotism in this film in particular is, I think it's flawless to me, and especially due to the direction and cinematography and the way that they express it on screen. Because there's one particular, the first time that Kevin Bacon, we will get into all the rest of this movie, but I feel like this is a main focus first of all. The way that Kevin Bacon goes under in his initial transition period, they do this thing where they talk about like you're in a theater. And they show it on screen. And Kevin Bacon's he's in a theater. So he's watching a live action play. And then she adds some additional words. And it's like, no, you're in she doesn't even say no. She just says no. I keep saying no. She says, like it's a cinema. So then you slowly see the fade out of it being a theater production into what you would get when you walk into a theater, like a cinema. And then there's all these people sat in the chairs, and she's like, "You're alone." And then you see all the people fade out of the seats, And then he's like, oh, you can't see anything in the room other than the screen. And then the rest of the room slowly fades into darkness and you just get the white screen. And she's like, oh, you can't see the words on screen, but you can see a silhouette of what they might be. Now, for me, this is the perfect description of what hypnosis is it's getting yourself into such a relaxed state. And then they set up a story within your mind, and then they add slight inclusions which changes your perspective and your own narrative to what you're visualizing. And I think it is a flawless, absolutely flawless execution of susceptibility, and in terms of how the mind perceives narrative based on description from other people. And when I was watching it, like they set up this whole idea of it was going to be hypnosis and it was going to do this, that, and the other. And then when they actually broke it down and they got into Kevin Bacon's mind and they portrayed this scene on screen, I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's fucking right. That is amazing. And I'm not somebody who believes in hypnosis, but I believe in the power of susceptibility and the power of manipulation. Human manipulation from one person to the other based on what that person is describing to you as a narrative. And the way they translated it on screen, for me, I was like, yes. And from that moment on, I was just fully engaged in the story, regardless of the concept of it and how much I believed in it. The way they presented it on screen, I just thought was fantastic.
Yeah, and it's done in such a way that it's digestible to everybody. It's digestible to someone who is a full believer in the paranormal, full believer in suggestibility, like all of that. As a believer, you would swallow it and you'd lap this up. But as a skeptic, you can sit there and go, yeah, that works. That works for me. And like, I think a lot of this works because of Kevin Bacon.
Because they address his character as being a skeptic. He is me in this movie. Yeah. He's fully calling her out and he's mocking her and he's like, yeah, that is bullshit. All right, if it's so real, then you do me then. And he's going into it like you were when you was on holiday and they pulled you up on stage to try and turn you into a chicken. But unfortunately for him in this situation, it's not necessarily about the voodoo side of it. It's about the science behind it and how you can put yourself in such a fixated trance that the voices you're hearing can depict the narrative that you're envisioning. And I think it's just such a great way to translate that on screen and make it so inclusive to people, whether you're skeptics or believers or not. And again, I'm a skeptic. I'm a massive skeptic of hypnosis and any sort of spiritual beliefs. And then seeing it portrayed in the way that it was in this movie, I was like, that is fucking perfect. And I was so on board from this point on.
And the thing is, they transition it from that sort of very, like really well shot, sort of people fading away, the cinema going to black, like all of that. And then they transition it into real base, cringe body horror where the pin through the hand. And you're like, oh man. And like it does this a lot in this movie where it takes you down a path and you're like, oh fuck, this is really creepy. And then something happens where it drags you back out of that, like almost like dream state world, and it snaps you back into reality with a bang. And this movie does it so well, time and time again. And I'm going to say it now. Kevin Bacon in this movie.
Bacon.
Is incredible. This is one of his best on-screen performances.
People give Kevin Bacon so much hate, and I don't understand why, because I think he is one of the finest actors of our generation.
I agree.
The stuff he's done throughout his career is just incredible. I think even on a baseline level, when you take stuff like Tremors, you take stuff like the first Friday the 13th movie, you even upgrade that to the 90s level era that we've got now with Stare of Echoes, and you've got Hollow Man, you've got Flatliners. You bring that even forward even more to you've got the Following TV show, and you've now got his resurgence again in the Maxine movie. I think this guy is phenomenal, and I think he is going to go on from the Maxine movie to get more bigger. I mean, even Beverly Hills Cop, he was the antagonist in Beverly Hills Cop, which he was fantastic in. I think he's going to go on again to have his Bacon resurgence, and you're going to see a lot more sizzle from this guy.
The thing is, you did miss one of his top movies that he's ever done.
Now I gotta cut loose.
I purposefully left that out. Because for me, Footloose is like the Patrick Swayze of Dirty Dancing. For me, Patrick Swayze is Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And I choose to exclude Dirty Dancing. As much as I love Dirty Dancing, as much as I love Footloose, it's more like Patrick Swayze is Roadhouse, Kevin Bacon is Hollow Man, Kevin Bacon is The Following, Kevin Bacon is Tremors. You know, I choose to exclude those movies because they're their startups. But yeah, I suppose if we're going to go down that road, you have to acknowledge the John Travolta Grease Lightning start that they got in their career.
Yeah. The scares in this movie are well earned and well crafted, even though the majority of them are jump scares. So the hypnotism, they say you're going to be more open and more open to everything. And what that does in reality,
the way they
Kevin
set that up though is great as well, because they set him up as a character who's very self-absorbed. And do you know what? As a whole, Kevin Bacon in this movie is an asshole. He's not a nice guy. He's not a good dad. He's not a good. I mean, in terms of not being a good dad, we could spend 20 minutes talking about his whole Madeline McCann escapades as he goes to parties and stuff with his night monitor alone. I mean, I just think that he's not set up throughout this movie as a good person. And then, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't even feel like he has a redemption arc throughout. I don't feel like even as he's on this mission to try and find this dead girl, he's doing it for the sake. I don't want to go back to it. I don't want to go back to it. We're going to go past it, and the people who know, and the people who don't know, Google it.
Oh, man, that was dark. That was real dark.
I feel like in terms of redemption arcs for characters, he doesn't get his throughout this movie, but because it's Kevin Bacon and we love him, we're on his side. But he's an arsehole. He's an arsehole to his wife. He's an arsehole to his son. He doesn't do what he's doing because he wants to save this girl and he wants to free her soul. He's doing it because he feels his life is so boring. He's an ordinary man and he wants something special for himself. And he repeatedly says, "This is my purpose. This is what I'm set out to do." There's no salvation for this character, but we just love him. And he's just such a cool, slick guy throughout.
He is. I'm still stunned.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to go there.
It's so dark, and I don't edit anymore, so that's staying in. The scare in this that I think most people would argue is the best scare is the one on the sofa. Like, this is so well crafted. He sat there, then he hears a noise, and he leans forward, and then as he leans back, he's got the ghost of the dead girl who's haunting him because he's now open to everything, sat right next, not doing anything nasty, just sat there, and it's brilliant. And
I think the thing about this that's so intelligent is the use of camera work from director. I have it written down because I knew I wanted to gush about this movie so much, so I feel like his name deserves to be credited. David Cope. What he does in this scene in particular is, like, you get your standard jump scares, but why this one is so well crafted is as Kevin Bacon leans forward off the sofa, the camera follows him with his lean. So it's more like if you imagine a tennis ball fixed in the center of the screen, as the tennis ball leans forward off the sofa, the camera follows suit, and then as he leans back, it's fixated on him. And one thing that I learned about this movie as well, there's a scene in particular where Kevin Bacon's looking in the mirror and he pulls out a tooth because the dead girl is missing a tooth and he's starting to get visions of it. This was all done in one take. So what they did was Kevin Bacon's looking in a mirror. They blacked out his tooth and put a cap on it. He pulls out the tooth in the mirror. The tooth then falls into the sink. The camera then falls down into the sink to look at the tooth. And while the camera's focusing on the tooth, they then have like someone rush on screen. They clean him up, clean all the blood off his face, clean the tooth up so it's back to normal. And then as the camera pulls back up, it focuses back on Kevin Bacon in the mirror as if it was an envision. And that is such a clever use of camera work because this is all done in one take. and you're watching it and you're like, surely there's got to be an edit somewhere. There's got to be a snap cut edit somewhere, but it's not. I Googled it because I was so curious at how they did that particular scene. It was all done in one take. It was literally a case of the camera follows down into the tube. Someone rushes on, cleans Kevin Bacon up as the camera's pulling back up onto screen. And it's done in such quick succession that you can't help but applaud the makeup and department behind it to create such a smooth transition in that scene.
Yeah, and you say about the makeup department on the dead girl, the ghost girl, I think they do a fabulous job with her as well, making her not too dead, if that makes sense. She's still very much, she has emotion, she has expressions, like you can see she's a real person, and she's not, although she's scary and she makes you jump, she's not scary in a like Samara from The Ring climbing out of a TV way. She is just a dead girl.
No, and she's very blue, but again,
Yeah.
that feels purposeful to the story as we get the reveal, why she's so cold.
Yeah, I'm not being funny. If George Romero can make zombies blue, fucking this is fine.
No, but it's purposeful as why she's
Yeah.
blue and why she's so cold. The whole jacket thing and the story reveals that go throughout, and then obviously once she's revealed and she's saved and her spirit is free, she's envisioned and like a summer day, and she gets her coat off and she walks down the road and transitions through a car, which is a whole nother thing. I don't know. There is a lot here that I think is done very, very well. And I think the director, who hasn't got a lot of directorial credits to his name, he hasn't done a great deal in terms of being on screen. But as a screenwriter, this guy is fucking like god tier. His name is David Cope, and if you don't know the name, you will know his screenwriting credits. This dude wrote Jurassic Park.
Oh shit!
He wrote the screenplay for Jurassic Park.
Wow.
This guy, honestly, like some of the most big budget movies you can think of, this dude wrote them. And this was like one of his stepping out from behind the writer's chair and doing a little bit of directing. This guy knows his shit. And Stare of Echoes is actually based on a novel written by Richard Matheson. And Richard Matheson as well, for those of you who don't know Richard Matheson, he's the guy who wrote I Am Legend. And there was another one that he wrote, which I can't think off the top of my tongue. But the story that it's based on has credibility. The director who's done the movie has credibility, regardless of his directorial credits. He hasn't done a great deal, but in writing credits, this guy is a big thing. He's the shit in Hollywood in terms of writing screenplays, which makes perfect sense why this movie is so fucking great in terms of its narrative. The biggest decline of this movie, in which why nobody talks about it to this day, is that it came out in 1999. And the problem with it being coming out in 1999 is it came out a month after The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, Bruce Willis killed this movie. Like,
Bruce Willis and M. Night Shyamalan killed this movie, which is a shame because this movie is better than Sixth Sense.
I'm going to agree with you. We spoke about this before we come on air. You're like, you better not disagree. I was like, no, I actually don't. This is a grown-up version of The Sixth Sense. This is a proper scary movie. The Sixth Sense is a movie that I'd sit down and I'd watch with a younger viewer. I would not sit and watch this with a younger viewer. This is a scary-ass movie.
Yeah.
There is the creepiest fucking kid in this, and he is up there with like Danny Torrance, like girl from Poltergeist level acting skills. He is phenomenal. Like, especially the bit where they're like, you need to talk to us. Like, no talking now. And he goes into like a demon voice. It's like, whoa, fuck. Like, he's so good.
He is. And again, I'm going to refer back to The Sixth Sense. I think he is a better child actor than Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense.
Yep.
And that opening scene that you get in this movie where he's talking to the camera. Yeah. And he's like, do the dead feel pain? And you're like that's the opening line of the movie, do the dead feel pain? And it's almost as if he's talking directly to you as an audience watching the film, and then the camera pans out and you realize that he's talking to a ghost, or at least we don't know that at the beginning, but he's talking to a wall. But throughout, he's talking to the ghost of the girl who's trapped within this house. And And I think he does a really, really good job of carrying that creepy nature that I think a lot of child actors would struggle with. I think Haley Joel Osment, as I'm referring to, because it's so timely to talk about the two movies in contrast, I don't think he could have carried the same sort of weight that the kid does in this movie in terms of atmosphere.
No, I don't. And I think a lot of that is down to just the way he's not. Like, you've got a young kid, I've got young kids. Young kids do creepy shit.
Yeah.
They do stuff that you're like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're like, oh yeah, just talking to my friend. You're like, yeah, you need to stop that. It's like kids do creepy stuff, and the kid in The Sixth Sense, that's not what real kids do. Real kids don't curl up their blanket and go, I see dead people. But real kids do turn round to you and midway through conversation turn into a different voice because they're learning how to use their voice and they think it's quite creepy, and they will go, no talking now. Like my kids will do like Jack will talk to me normally, and then I'll ask him to do something, and he calls it his monster voice. He'll go, no, and he runs around the front room. Like kids do.
Margot tends to turn into a dog. She's like, I'm a doggy now. Ruff, ruff, ruff.
Yeah, and like kids do creepy shit, and this kid nails kids doing creepy shit really well. And it's like, yeah, you're my kid. And I think that's what separates the two. The Sixth Sense is very much a Hollywood glossed movie. This is very much grounded, as silly as it is. It's grounded. The characters are grounded in reality.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from Haley Joel Osment. I think he's a phenomenal actor, but the problem with Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense is he's acting on a level that Bruce Willis is acting, and he's a child actor, and it's not believable because he is that good, because he is being directed that well, you know, and that just speaks volumes for his capabilities as an actor. He's just beyond his years in that movie. Like, he's so convincingly good as an actor that you don't buy him as a child. Whereas in this movie, he has that innocence that portrays very well on screen. And he has that child angelic nature to him that you can relate to if you have children, especially. So I think the child actor in this is fantastic. And I don't think especially going forward, this will be a highlight for me when people talk about, oh yeah, what's the greatest child actor? And I refer to people like the girl who played Maria Wilson from Matilda, or Danielle Harris from Halloween 4. How did I even struggle on that one? Fuck me. Danielle Harris from Halloween 4. You know, I think the kid from Star of Echoes is going to be one of those people who is like, oh, you should see the kid from Star of Echoes. That dude is fucking wild.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I want to talk about his sidekicks. I want to talk about Scatman Carruthers. It's not Scatman Carruthers, but it is. He plays the same character.
It is Scatman Carruthers.
Yeah, he plays the guy who explains everything, and he basically says...
Magic.
It's basically... but no, joking aside, I really love the way he describes it. So he explains Kevin Bacon as getting flashes, and it's a man fumbling around in the dark with a flashlight. So he gets a flash, and then it moves, or he moves, and it disappears. And she's like, well, what about my son? Because he does the same. And he's like, oh yeah, he's got the same, but he's got a much better flashlight. And it's like, it's the best way of describing how this kid has got the shine. He's got the ability of The Shining. It's great.
Yeah. And the thing is about it as well that makes it so digestible is that they do it in a way where the family casually step into this funeral, and the police officer, who is Scatman Carruthers, looks behind him and he sees a child. And he's like, oh, I can see it in his eyes. I know he is. And he's like, but then he's like, I look. So that's another thing that I really enjoyed about it. It was like, it was a hereditary thing, because he looks at the mother and he's like, oh, you don't have it. So I'm assuming your husband does.
Yeah.
Which would mean why the child had it. But it's like, oh, his is a lot stronger. And then that's when they do the flashlight analogy in based of how strong one another is. The thing that disappointed me the most about this whole build-up was the fact that the mother then goes, because Scatman Carruthers is like, oh yeah, tell Mr. Bacon to come see me. and we can flesh it out, and I can help him sort of channel sort of his powers in a sense. But then she goes, it's like, oh, he's got enough burden to where I don't want him to come here. I don't want him to have to deal with it. You tell me, and then I can drip feed it to him in a way where he'll understand it. I would have liked to have seen that interaction between, Kevin Bacon and Scatman Carruthers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those two being on screen and having a dialogue about his abilities, and Kevin Bacon flat out rejecting it and telling him he's a fucking idiot, because that's how it would have gone. I think that interaction would have added another level of, oh fuck, when Kevin Bacon has that moment where he's like, shit, he was right. But we don't get that.
And again, I'm reflecting on it now, and in a way, I feel like it's kind of purposeful that it doesn't. And again, this is based on a novel, so like I'm sure the novel probably fleshes out this whole side of the story a lot more. But in a way, I'm kind of glad, as much as I would like to have seen it, I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because Kevin Bacon's an arsehole, as we've already addressed. As much as we all love him as an audience and think Kevin Bacon's the coolest shit on the planet, he is an arsehole in this movie, and he is very self-centered. So having this interaction with this guy who makes him understand that he's not the only person would have probably compromised his character a lot more, and he would have probably spiraled into something that isn't, because Kevin Bacon throughout very much feels like he is the prophecy. He is the chosen one. He's a self-righteous, this is my path kind of thing.
And I love that, like that bit where like when he's full on like, I got to dig. She's like, what do you mean? He's like, I need to dig. She's like, do you want to explain it? He's like, I've just fucking explained it. I need to dig. And that's the most unbelievable thing about this movie. He digs a hole that big in his garden in a day. It's not doable. I don't care how strong you are. It can't be done.
I could do it.
Of course you can.
I could do it. No, but I mean, the thing is, the most unbelievable thing about that at all is the fact that he's destroying his house and his landlord lives across the road. He pulls in a pneumatic drill and he's bashing the shit out of his house at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And his neighbor peeks out the window as if to say, that looks a little bit suspicious. And his neighbor's the landlord of his property.
Yeah, see, I like the way they tied this all together, because when we get to this point where we're getting close to the reveal, I didn't see the reveal coming. It's done it. Did you? I did. First time I watched it, I didn't see it. So long and short of it, there are two teenage boys who have taken this poor girl. They've dragged her into the house. They've raped her. And in the process of doing that, she struggled and tried to scream. So they put a bag over her head and suffocated her. Then the landlord helped bury her in the brickwork in the basement. And Kevin Bacon uncovers her body. The scene where he touches her and we get that entire flashback sequence is really cool. But what makes it
watch?
It's really rough to watch. But what makes it so good is when he takes his hand off after that flashback is seen, the horror on his face reflected the horror on my face, having just watched that play out. Like, it's the worst thing to play out, and he captured it perfect. I'm like, that's exactly how I feel about what I just
Kevin Bacon's awesome, man. Kevin Bacon for president. That's all I'm saying.
Well, are you sure? Because there is another candidate.
Yeah. I stand by.
I've done a good job.
No, I mean, I want to talk about the reveal a little bit, because I know I said that I saw it coming, but I did and I didn't. I knew that his best friend was involved, and I knew that the landlord was involved. I think when you strip this movie down in terms of who's done it, the whole who's done it murder mystery element of it. I mean, there's a lot of movies out there. Morgan Freeman built his career on building movies like this, like Kiss a Girl and things like that. He did about 15 movies just solely based on FBI investigations to track down a serial killer kind of thing before he did anything actually important in his career. Not to take anything that he did before it away from him, because those movies are fantastic. but I feel like this movie kind of falls into those categories, but it spells it out a little bit too obvious for the viewer. I feel like everything is kind of drip fed to you a little bit too much. But I kind of knew where it was going. Again, I didn't know the exact details of the situation. I didn't know it would be his sons. I was expecting it to be his best friend and the landlord, and they were just into some creepy shit because they insinuate all the way throughout that his best friend luring at other women, even though his wife's in his presence and things like that. They set him up as being the downfall of it. So I kind of knew where it was going on a base level. But when we got to the actual reveal, I kind of pieced it together when he shot himself, his son shot himself. I was like, oh, that's through guilt. Did he see his dad do something? That's why he's done it, because he didn't want to dob his dad in the shit. He didn't want to grass his dad up. So he was like, oh, I can't deal with the guilt. So I need to just wipe myself out.
That scene where he fires the gun and the little Shine kid's been talking about feathers for fucking 3 hours. And then like,
no, I'm talking before that. I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Where he actually shoots himself to kill himself in the beginning. That was like a big like, oh yeah, well, he's obviously involved. He shot himself, so he's obviously got a big part of it. I feel like that drip feed in the narrative was sort of spelling out for you. But you touched on it then. They're talking about the feathers. One thing this movie does really, really, really well is the full circle element of its narrative. So there's a particular scene early on where Kevin Bacon wakes up. He sees a shoe underneath the sofa. Then he goes up to the bathroom, and there's a note on the mirror. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've gone to the park with my son. Then he comes downstairs and he sees his best friend. And his best friend's like, you're going to die, and Meg's going to die with you, Meg being his wife. And then he wakes up from a dream. Kevin Bacon wakes up in the situation and immediately has this shock factor. And he's like, shit, I don't want to look under this sofa, because if my shoe's there, that means everything else is going to follow through, like a butterfly effect kind of situation. He picks up the shoe, he goes upstairs, the note from the bathroom is there, he comes downstairs, but his best friend's not there. And it all plays out very much how he dreams it. I know there's a lot more to how I just explained it then, in terms of walking past a postman and then his son killing himself. All of this follows through, apart from his interaction with his best friend. But when we get to the closing climax of the movie, we have that scene. We have that scene with his best friend where he sits on the porch and he's like, and he says exactly what he said in the dream sequence. He's your best friend. He's this. But again, you talked about how the kid has the Shining sequence. He's like, they go to a family funeral, or the kid's at the funeral, and his mum's like, we need to go back and get your dad. And he's like, no, I can't go back because of the feathers.
Yeah.
And you're like, because of the feathers? What do you mean because of the feathers? And then when the closing sequence follows through and they have this big shootout with Kevin Bacon and his best friend and his dad and all the rest of it trying to cover up the murder, he shoots through the ceiling, he shoots through his son's bed, and it pops the feathers out of the pillow. They go all over the room. And you're like, oh, shit. He knew he was going to get shot if he left with his mother to go back, because he would have been in bed and he would have got shot through the head because the feathers popped out of the pillow. And it's like, even though the actual plot of the movie plays out on such a base level, simplistic, we know how this is going to go, when you get those little tidbits of another level, otherworldly dream sequence stuff coming full circle, you're like, bang, perfect execution. I need to read this book because I feel like it would do it better than the movie.
There's so many bits like that are so well crafted and so well full circled, and there's so much foreshadowing in this that it does something that not many movies do, like you say with that sequence of the shoe. Like, it foreshadows something and then it doesn't play it out, and you're like, oh, that was a bit wasted. And then later it will do the thing that it foreshadowed, that it like foreshadows, then teases you with the foreshadow and doesn't give it to you, and then it gives it to you later. And they do it loads of times, like with him being open, like you expect something to start happening straight away and it doesn't happen, and then it happens like when you don't expect it. There's lots of that in this. I think this is one of the best endings to a movie of this sort. Like the bit where he like everyone's been subdued. His friend shot the people who were going to do everything, and his wife stabbed mate through the foot, which was awesome. After all of that, as Kevin Bacon looks up, you see the ghost of the girl put on her jacket, put on her glasses, and walk out the door, walk down the street, and just vanish. And that I thought was great. But what is perfect is the fact that Kevin Bacon sells his house the following fucking day and they move out. He's like, fuck that house, I'm done.
Yeah, because that's a normal thing to do.
It's grounded in reality. And as they're driving past all the houses, the little kid just puts his hands over his ears and they turn up the volume on all the spirits that you can hear talking to him. And it's like,
Yeah, because as he's driving past every single house through the neighborhood they're driving through, he's getting voices from every single house coming in as if they're talking to him like he's Danny Torrance, which is fucking brilliant. And I mean, let's be honest, this movie is a franchise. And I haven't seen the sequel yet, but there is a sequel starring Rob Lowe called Star of Echoes Homecoming, which I have recently in my collection, yet I haven't watched, and I will be doing. And I need to know how this goes.
Well, I think the best way to say how this goes is imagine Stir of... I'll put it in a phrase you understand. Imagine Stir of Echoes is Halloween.
Yep.
And then imagine Stir of Echoes 2 is Halloween 6.
Oh, is it that bad?
With no bridge between them. It goes, wow, that blew my mind too. What the fuck is this?
Okay, that makes me want to watch it even more, I'll be honest with you.
Honestly, it's one of those movies you watch and you go, oh, they've done that in the... we're doing that, are we? Oh, we're doing that now. It's one of those movies. It's enjoyable, but that movie is it's a 2-star movie if I'm being uber
it's a
generous.
sci-fi movie, straight to Sharknado level kind of shit.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to quite subtly dive into is the sister, the babysitter. Where were you with the babysitter element? Like in how... So the babysitter comes round. The babysitter eventually turns out to be the sister of the dead girl. But I like the way they set it up, that the Haley Joel Osment character encourages her to be a babysitter. So it's not like she just coincidentally comes up and goes around there. Like he specifically requests her to be his babysitter. He's like, oh, I want her to come around. Yeah. And she freaks out. She's like, oh no, what are you doing? Like you're speaking to my sister. And then they do this real this cool side plot where they make it out as if Kevin Bacon's killed her sister. And I fully believed it as well. I thought we were going to get like the what's that weird Jim Carrey movie where he turned out to be the serial killer by the end of it, like the number 13?
2021.
Something like that, yeah. It was like a weird number, and he turned out to be like he writ the book where he was a serial killer all the way along. Yeah. I thought we were going to get that, like, because we'd had that cool setup with the hypnosis. I was like, oh, that's where it's going to go. And she's unlocked the fact that he used to be an ex-serial killer, but he's just buried those memories in his mind, and then all this is going to come out that he's killed this, and the other. That was the narrative I was following at that point. I was like, oh, that's really cool. They've set it up in a way where he's going to be like this really big, notorious serial killer, and he's just buried all these emotions, and she's unlocked them for him.
Yeah, and they've even got a kidnap sequence in this where the sister kidnaps the little boy.
Yeah. She takes him to the train station, and that's really intense. But I like the build-up for that, where he's going to the baseball game. And what does it so well for me is... when she initially comes in to babysit the child, he sees her, although the graphics are absolutely terrible, like the old visual effects of it are dog shit. She walks in, he's got this like glazed red visuals over the camera, and he just sees red, which is basically representing danger, and he doesn't understand why, and he's so confused by it. But then as he walks from the house after leaving the babysitter, he walks past like a police car, and the red lights are so prominent to him. And then like you see traffic lights, and they're so prominent to him in the red. And it's basically as if like the ghost is signifying to him, this is bad, this danger, something's happening.
Yeah.
And he gets like this shining level moment where it's like she's kidnapped the kid, and he runs back And like that's really, really cool and really, really well established. But I thought like it was going to expand upon his capabilities, or like I feel like superpowers addressing it in that way is really ridiculous. But like there was going to be more to his
abilities,
visions, abilities and his visions, but it wasn't. It just kind of stopped there, and then with that, without little to no explanation, that kind of let it down for me a little bit. I feel like that could have been expanded upon a little bit more.
Yeah, I liked that subplot, but I do feel they kind of shoehorned it in. Like this movie works without that subplot there.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
As much as I enjoyed elements of it, I kind of think you could take that out. You could have expanded more of the visions. You could have given us more of the scares. You could have shown us more what the boy could do, because I'm more interested in how the boy sees things than I am in like Kevin Bacon sees glimmers. I want to see what this kid sees just walking around day to day. Like he can see.
Yeah, you get that in the Stair of Echoes Homecoming, though, do you not?
Yeah, kind of.
Do you actually? Is he the kid? Is he the son?
No, it's not the son. Do you know what? We're taking a break because I can't talk about Homecoming today. After this episode, why not check out our Resident Girl and our Resident Gay with the Girl and the Gay podcast. This is a podcast where Jay and Bex break down movies of all genres in a funny, entertaining way with lots of interactive features. So go and check out the Girl and the Gay podcast. Also available on the You Run Podcast Network, Video Tastings, a channel hosted by Gareth. This is the world of VHS like never before. From his extensive collection through to live watch-along parties, deep dives into special features and so much more. If you love VHS and retro videos, this is the place for you. So check out Gareth at yourunpodcast.com along with all the other You Run Podcast Network members. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, go to yourunpodcast.com, check out all of the other network members, and while you're there, go and buy a t-shirt, one of these, or one of those, or one of those, or 7 of those. And remember, if someone spends £100, Mark is going to grow his hair out.
This is true. It's true. I'm kind of starting it now, hoping that we get... I don't want to drag it out. Like, it takes a long time to grow hair, so I'm going to start it now. And if it gets to a point where we're like, yeah, we're not going to reach those margins, I'm just going to shave it again.
Yeah, okay. We're going to do facts first this week. You know when Kevin Bacon loses his shit when he's digging and he boots the bucket and it smashes the window?
When I watched that, I was like, is that accidental, or did he have to do like multiple takes to get that shot?
That was accidental. But in the moment, Kevin Bacon realized how fucking good that was and stayed in character. There's a behind the scenes like featurette that's knocking around on YouTube, and when he does it and they're filming it, and then when they call cut, like everyone just claps, and he's like does a bow like shit, like that was an accident, but fuck, it was good, wasn't it? It was really cool.
It was really, really cool. Even when I was watching it, I was like, oh, how many takes did that take to get that scene?
Yeah, 1, because it was complete fluke. What did you think of the practical effects, the pin going through the hand?
I thought they were pretty cool. I didn't have anything against them. I feel like this movie is very much a product of its time. It's a very 1999 movie, and it showcases that not just in the practical effects scene, but in the visual effects as a whole, in terms of transition and editing and scores. It's a very much a product of its time.
Okay, I kind of set you up a little bit there. So the practical effect where you see a pin pushed through the hand, they didn't have the budget for a practical effect, so they paid a stuntman to come in for the day and just have a pin pushed through his hand.
Oh, really? They actually did it for real?
Actually did it for real.
Oh, well, looks great.
Which blew my mind. Where do you stop that negotiation as a stuntman? At what figure do you get to where you go, yeah, okay, that's enough money for you to push a pin into my hand, I'm happy with that?
I feel like it doesn't take a lot. I feel like to ask Kevin Bacon to do it would cost a lot. To ask somebody else, probably not that much.
Yeah, it would have cost me a lot.
You could have got Johnny Knoxville or some fucking Steve or something like that to do it for free, most probably.
Do you know? I'd love there to be an outtake where it is actually Steve-O doing it, because they were in their prime in '99.
I was going to say it's in the era, mate. It would work.
When the babysitter sat on the sofa and she's reading a book, she's actually reading The Shrinking Man, which is by Richard Matheson, who wrote Stir of Echoes. And that was a nod to
that
him.
was the one I was thinking of, Shrinking Man. Yeah, Shrinking Man,
Yeah,
and I'm Legend.
And I didn't say it at the time because I'm like, no, I've got that in facts. I'm going to sit on it and pretend that I do not know. You know the scene where Maggie's in the car, the wife's in the car, and it's pissing down with rain?
Yes.
So when they filmed that, it was actually raining heavily. But the director didn't think the rain looked realistic. So they then put a tarpaulin tent over the top of the car with rain falling down on the tarp, and then used like a rain machine above the car to give him the effect he wanted. You imagine walking past that set, it's pissing down with rain, and they've got a tent built around a car where they're dripping rain on it like it's raining. You'd be going, are you okay? Did you you having a moment?
Isn't that what most Instagrammers are these days anyway?
This is very true. The creepy walk in this that the ghost girl does, this is one of my biggest things in horror that it fucking creeps the shit out of me. I hate it. This kind of jerky walking. They do it in Silent Hill and they do it in this. The way they've done it, they filmed it in 2 times speed and she just walked normally. And then when they played it back, they slowed it down. So all of her movements don't look natural. Really simple effect, but it's super, super, super effective. The last one. So in the opening scene, Tom tells his friend that he's drilling holes. He's drilling holes in your flooring. This is at the party. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing in the house?" Like, "Oh yeah, I'm just drilling holes in your flooring." This is exactly what he does later in the movie. So it's another example of the foreshadowing. Like right at the beginning, before any hypnotism, before anything at all, he's like, what are you doing in my house? "Oh yeah, I'm just drilling holes in the floor, smashing holes in the floor." And then an hour later, he's in there with a jackhammer, like winding 8-foot holes into his floor. And that's facts this week. Should we do caption this?
Yeah, let's do it.
I am a wolf and I'm digging a hole, diggy, diggy hole, digging a hole.
That's enough of that.
It's very Putin level, that. I don't know. Is that okay? Are we allowed to do that?
I thought it was more Lord of the Rings. I'm not being funny. We've referenced Madeline McCann.
Is that what you was going for with that? You was going for Lord of the Rings and you were just about to set off World War III?
Yeah, see, that's where we've gone Madeline McCann. We've now gone Putin. Fuck, how bad can this episode be? So caption this as taken off. Much to my surprise, I thought it would take a while, but it didn't. And the reason it didn't is we gave you this picture to caption. Didn't take much.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, didn't take much for people to caption topless bacon. Zombie Simon, mixed fandom account on Instagram, went with shredded bacon.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Lumberjay Reviews. Jay, been on the show.
He hates Kevin Bacon. Did you know he has like a really weird thing against bacon? I don't understand it.
He just went simply with ooh.
Yeah, I don't get it. He hates Kevin Bacon, and I can't understand why anybody would.
See, the only thing I could work out, and I've actually put it on my bit of paper here, is maybe he's vegan. He doesn't like bacon because he's vegan.
I don't know. I don't get it. How could you not like Kevin Bacon?
No, Kevin Bacon's up there with Ryan Reynolds. Kevin Bacon's like an older man crush.
Yeah.
If I was gonna turn gay, and I had a thing for older men, Kevin Bacon would be that older man. Like that. That's where I am with Kevin Bacon. Films I fucking like. Went with Looking for Graboids, where he's digging in the garden, and they're a film review account. Tails Point Horror Club. Well, I like this one. Went simply with Shirt Loose.
Love it. Easy, go to, perfect.
Shirt Loose. Dissect that film. I'll have some eggs with that bacon, and they're a film podcast. Pop Culture Reflections. This one made me chuckle because it rings so true. Help me with the garden, she says. It'll be fun, she says.
Relatable.
And very relatable. That's Justin from Pop Culture Reflections podcast. And finally, Riot Rider 18. If you want me in your film, you're going to have to talk to EE first.
Nice.
And they are a horror movie account as well. That is it for Caption This. I really like Caption This. It's one that's growing on me a lot. I'm going to take this first because I've seen this thousands of times and mine isn't going to be that long. This movie is great. It's one of the best paranormal horror movies of the 90s. Cast throughout are all solid. The production quality is great considering this was a fairly low budget movie. The story is amazing. The camera work is outstanding. The scares are good. It is a really well crafted, really well put together, really well thought out, and really well written horror movie. And on top of all of that, you've got the crowning jewel that is Kevin Bacon that takes you through this wild ride almost through his eyes, which again is something that's not done very well in horror very often. This single perspective, for the most part, of Kevin Bacon. It focuses purely on him. And to carry a movie like that, it takes a special sort of actor. This is a standout for me. I watch this many times a year. This is one I watch at Halloween. I like this. Like, start of spooky seasons, like, let's put Stir of Echoes on because that puts me in that really like place. Like, I'm ready for it then. It does deal with some subjects I really don't like in horror, like the rape and the murder of this poor girl. But in this movie, they're handled in a way that, yes, they're horrible. Yes, they're disgusting. It's the worst thing in the world. But they handle them in the way that the girl, even though she's died, gets her redemption arc. She gets what she needed to cross over. And I think they do that very, very well and very delicately. This is a great movie. It's a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I love this film.
Solid score. Very solid score. I'm with you, to be honest with you, on every point you've just addressed there, which makes my excessive roundups, as I'm well known for, very difficult with this. As someone who's a skeptic who finds it really difficult to digest movies that tend to try and fixate so heavily upon the fairy tale aspect of hypnosis, be that religion, any sort of, I don't know, how do you describe the fairy tale aspects of life without insulting an entire population?
Like this.
Uncle Julio is a hypnotist. Manipulating runs in the family.
I'll do. I mean, I don't know. I just find stuff like this very hard to digest, but this movie showcases it better than any that I have seen. I think that it takes an approach that's very digestible and very believable, and I think I almost found myself in a position where I was like, oh, actually, maybe that is possible. Maybe that is effective and maybe that could work. And that is testament to the writing solely. I'm not talking about the casting and anything else. I'm talking solely about the writing and the way they chose to portray this idea and this concept on screen. I think it translates very, very well, regardless of whether you're a believer or whether you are not. The biggest selling point for me about this movie is the plot and the story and how it comes full circle and how everything ties together at the end. And it puts you in a situation of completion, and you feel satisfied by the overall arc of the story. You're sat there and everything ties together, and there's a lot of movies that try to do this, especially M. Night Shyamalan. He's the biggest culprit for trying to execute this whole twist reveal and sort of stand back and be like, oh my god, that ties back into that, this ties back into that. And
I'm going to say it, and it's really nasty to M. Night Shyamalan. He's pulled it off twice in his entire career, once with The Sixth Sense and once with Signs, and he's never done it again. Every other time he's done is a swing and a miss.
It is, and that's what's annoying about it, is the fact that he is now synonymous with that idea, but there is clearly movies out there, such as There Is Echoes, that not only take that idea and that approach, but they execute it better than what he has ever done within his career. I think the biggest downfall to this movie is purely the fact that it came out a month after The Sixth Sense, because had it not done so, and had this come out 2 years before or 4 years after, and there'd have been a bit of breathing space in between the two of them, this would be a movie that people still hold dear to this day. This would be, I'm not going to go as far as to say this is Silence of the Lambs level-esque thriller, and I don't necessarily want to categorize this movie as a thriller, even though it is 90% thriller, 10% horror movie. But I think what they do with it and what the end product is serviceable enough to be like, yeah, this is something worth taking note of. The acting throughout is phenomenal. I think for me personally, regardless of how good the acting and the score is and the cinematography is, I think the direction is one of the biggest selling points for me, is the use of camera work and the way that the narrative is followed due to how it's translated on screen is very underappreciated with a movie like this. Like, you just take it on a base level as a 90s cheap thriller knockoff Silence of the Lambs wannabe, but when you actually sit down and focus upon what's actually translated to you on screen, there is a lot here that is worthy of recognition and worthy of appreciation. And I think if you break it down on that level and try and strip it down and focus on the key cogs that make this whole thing churn together, the direction is pitch perfect. And as great as this guy is as a writer, we've already addressed, this is a dude who wrote Jurassic Park. You know, he's going to produce fantastic things, and he wanted to reach out, he wanted to try and break that mold, and he wanted to do directing. And I think it all comes down to bad timing for him as a director, because had this not been competing with The Sixth Sense, which it was never going to win due to the twist ending that Sixth Sense gave, people were talking about that movie on the same level that they were talking about the Blair Witch Project. This is one of those you had to go see movies, and this movie just got shadowed by it and was just lost into the mists of oblivion. And it's a shame, because I think the guy who did direct it has a serious talent for presenting cinema on screen to a level of people who like that kind of thing, who can see the stuff that he was trying to do within this movie. And I think had he had a bigger budget, because I think there's a lot of stuff in here that is great and looks well and is serviceable to the movie, but it is also I've already said it's a product of its time. It's a 1990s movie, and there's things in here that do look cheap and they do look a little bit, oh, that could have done a bit better, or that could have been acted a little bit better, or so forth. I like this director a lot. I haven't seen anything else he's done outside of his writing credits, but I'm curious to now go and seek out some of his stuff and see where he went from here and where he went before here, and see if they live up to his abilities as a writer. I mean, fucking hell. This is one of the hardest scorings that I think I've ever had to do, purely based on the fact that I love this movie so much that I would give it a 5 out of 5 hands down, and not be like, lose any sleep over it. Like, yeah, 5 out of 5. It's fantastic. I loved it that much. I enjoyed my watch of it that much. But if I had to seriously break it down and pick apart the things that didn't work, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. But no, when I say a 4 out of 5, I want to give it higher. I seriously want to give it higher than a 4.5.
Well, you can.
4 out of 5.
You can. We score it on enjoyment. You can give it whatever you want. You can give.
Well, if I score it out of enjoyment, I think it's 5 out of 5. I think this is a fucking fantastic movie. But I'm just trying to translate to people who are going to listen to our episode and be like, "Oh, well, Matt, give it a 5 out of 5." And then they watch it and they don't appreciate the things that I'm highlighting, and they don't watch it on the base level that I'm watching it at, and they're like, "This dude's a fraud. He knows no fuck all what he's talking about."
Both you and me gave Sharknado 3 top marks. We have no credibility and haven't done for at least 2 years.
Right, I'll break it down there. It's a 5 out of 5. On my own opinion, I think it's a phenomenal movie. I think it's very underappreciated and very unrecognized, and more people should go out and watch and appreciate Star of Echoes because it's great. But I think given the era of time it came out and how well it's going to translate to a certain generation of people, you Gen Zs out there, you're probably going to look at it in a different way that we look at it and we dissect it. So I'm going to say go in with a 4 out of 5 expectations, and hopefully you come away with the same enjoyment that I did and get to a 5 out of 5 level.
Yeah. So long and short of it, it's a great movie. Go and watch it. Where did you watch this? Did you watch this on? I want to say I watched it on Netflix. I don't know if I did. It might have been Prime.
I have it here. I watched it in the office, but I'm scanning my endless plethora. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, so go and watch this on one of the streaming services, or message Mark
VHS
and go and watch it around his house on VHS. That is it for another week. For the first time in a long time, we don't know what we're doing next week because we haven't polled. We're recording in advance, so everyone knows, because I'm going on holiday, Mark's working away, so we're digging in and we're getting some stuff in the bank, so we've got a bit of breathing room. So we're recording this in July, and this comes out middle of August. So, hey, I hope you're having nice weather, because right now I'm currently laying by a pool and my weather is glorious and I have a beer. I
hope you're enjoying it, man. This is me speaking mentally towards your situation.
To the future, my future holiday. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, projecting anyway, good vibes.
Yeah, everyone have a wonderful week, and we will catch you all next week. See you all later.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Heather's raging, old news, she screams, the new way.
Oh, did I just give everyone a teaser of potentially the return of true crime? Sorry about that.
You want to die tonight?
Jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. You run podcasts, horror movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too.